In 1757, one battle changed India forever. But what if I told you the real story of Plassey is not about betrayal alone? It's about loyalty also. A loyalty that history chose to forget. In 1757, Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah of Bengal was defeated at the Battle of Plassey. That defeat opened the door for the British to conquer India. Most of us have heard about the conspiracy behind this battle. We know about the historic betrayal of Siraj-ud-Daulah. From his own commanders to Jagat Seth, many turned against him. History has told us their stories. It has told us about the traitors. It has also told us about Robert Clive's plan that handed Bengal to the British. But even today, there are many things we still don't know. For example, where did the Battle of Plassey actually took place? Where is that place today? What events caused the situation to spiral so badly? How did everything fall apart so quickly? And most importantly, when we remember this battle, we always talk about betrayal. We talk about traitors again and again. But here is the real question. Were there soldiers who stayed loyal to Siraj-ud-Daulah? Did some men stand by their Nawab until their very last breath? Who were the real heroes of Plassey? And why were they forgotten by history? Today's story is not about Jagat Seth, it is not about Mir either. But this is the story of Plassey you rarely hear. The story of those who remained loyal to their Nawab until death. So watch this video till the very end to know the full history. You probably know this already. Battles are often named after the place where they were fought. For example, when a battle was fought on the plains of Panipat in Haryana, it was called the Battle of Panipat. In the same way, Bengal has the Battle of Plassey. This place lies between Murshidabad and Kolkata. Today, Plassey looks like a quiet village, but in history, it marked the biggest turning point India ever witnessed. Plassey was originally called Palashi. It got this name because the area was filled with palash trees. This is where the British set up their camp. And this is where the story of Siraj-ud-Daulah's defeat was written. Even today, Plassey carries a reminder of that moment. If you visit this place, you will see Stone Tower. This tower is nearly 268 years old. It stands as a symbol of British victory, and it marks the moment that changed the course of Indian history forever. You may know the Battle of Plassey as a story of betrayal, but it is also a story of courage. A story of two men who refused to betray their Nawab, Mir Mardan and Diwan Mohanlal. They remained loyal to the Nawab of Bengal until their last breath. These two were the true heroes of Battle of Plassey. We already know the name of the villains. Today, let us learn about the heroes. In the early 18th century, the Mughal Empire began to weaken. After the death of Aurangzeb, the empire entered a period of decline. As Mughal power faded, many regions began to assert independence. Bengal was one of them. In 1740, the governor of Bengal, Ali Vardi Khan, took control. He did not formally break ties with the Mughals, but in reality, he ruled Bengal independently. In 1752, Ali Vardi Khan named his grandson as his successor. His name was Mirza Muhammad Siraj-ud-Daulah. Siraj was only 19 years old at that time. This decision angered many powerful figures in Bengal. 4 years later, Siraj-ud-Daulah became the Nawab of Bengal. Almost immediately, conspiracies began to form in Murshidabad. To protect his throne, Siraj made major changes in the administration. He tried to weaken powerful groups that threatened his rule. One of them was Jagat Seth. Let me remind you, Jagat Seth was one of the richest bankers in India. His wealth was so immense that he had even lent money to the East India Company. Siraj saw him as a serious threat. To reduce his influence, Siraj accused Jagat Seth of embezzling Bengal's treasury. This deeply angered Jagat Seth. At the same time, Siraj's uncle and army commander Mir Jafar also became dissatisfied. Siraj's reform threatened his ambitions. But amid all his intrigue, two men stood firmly with the Nawab. One was Mohanlal. Siraj appointed him as Diwan. The other was Mir Mardan. Siraj made him a key military commander. These two men would soon prove their loyalty on battlefield, and their courage would be written in blood at Plassey. First, let us talk about Diwan Mohanlal. Not much is known about Mohanlal's early life, but historians agree on one thing. He was a Kayast Hindu. During that period, the Kayastha community was known for education and administration. They were experts in accounts, finance, and revenue management. This is why Mohanlal rose quickly. His skills made him a close and trusted associate of the Nawab. Over time, he proved his ability again and again. When Siraj-ud-Daulah ascended the throne on 15th April 1756, Mohanlal was appointed as Peshkar. His rise created tension in the court, especially among powerful Muslim nobles like Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar was the commander of the armed forces. He was second only to the Nawab in rank. For him, the rise of a Hindu official above his authority was deeply insulting. Jealousy and resentment began to grow. This court rivalry is mentioned in Riyaj-us-Salatin, a historical account of Bengal. According to historical records, Mohanlal was not just a diwan, he was also the Nawab's personal advisor. He headed the intelligence and detective department, and he acted as Siraj's political representative. His influence became so great that he could have shaped the future of Bengal. He could have played the role of a kingmaker also. He could have betrayed the Nawab and chosen power, but he did not. Mohanlal chose loyalty. Mir Mardan came from a Muslim warrior family. His full name is believed to be Mir Mardan Ali. He was a senior commander in Siraj-ud-Daulah's army. He was also in charge of the artillery. According to historical accounts, Mir Mardan had trained Siraj from a young age. He taught him horsemanship, he taught him warfare, he taught him military strategy. Because of this, their bond was deeply personal. It was not just a relationship between a Nawab and his commander, it was also a bond between a guru and a disciple. This is why, when Siraj became Nawab, Mir Mardan was made his special and trusted commander. Even before the Battle of Plassey, Mir Mardan had already proven his courage many times. When tension rose between Siraj and the British, the situation was turning dangerous. After the British seized the Qasim Bazar factory, it was Mir Mardan who advised decisive action. He urged Siraj to strike first. He believed delay would only strengthen the enemy. This courage and clarity made Mir Mardan indispensable to the Nawab. Just like Diwan Mohanlal, he stood very close to Siraj. And this closeness created enemies. From Mir Jafar to Jagat Seth, many powerful men were jealous of their influence because in the court of Bengal, loyalty had become dangerous. But Siraj did not stop there. After his coronation, he also turned his attention to the British. He began to put them under pressure. At that time, all trading companies needed official permission to operate. This permission was granted by the Mughals. The document was called a dastak. Without a dastak, no trade was allowed. Siraj strictly enforced this rule. He questioned how the British were using their dastaks. As a result, the British came under heavy pressure, and tension between Siraj and the British began to rise. These permits exempted the East India Company from paying border taxes. But this exemption applied only to the company's official trade. It did not cover personal business. The British ignored this rule. Company officials used the permits for private trade. This led to large-scale embezzlement, and it helped British officers build personal fortunes in Bengal. At the same time, the British were strengthening Fort William. They were also encouraging groups that opposed Siraj. Siraj saw this as a direct challenge to his authority. He strongly disapproved. So in June 1756, Siraj-ud-Daulah took a decisive step. Siraj then marched towards Calcutta. He attacked and destroyed the British fort. After this victory, he renamed Calcutta as Alinagar. Having achieved this major success, Siraj returned to Murshidabad. Let me pause here for a moment. Murshidabad may not look very special today, but it was once the heart of Bengal. The city was the administrative center of the province. It was also the place from where the largest tribute was sent to the Mughal Empire. Murshidabad has a deep and powerful history of its own, and it deserves a story of its own. If you want a separate video on Murshidabad, let me know in the comments. While Siraj returned to Murshidabad, the British were already planning their next move. From Madras, an army was sent towards Calcutta. It was led by Robert Clive and Charles Watson. By January 1757, they had recaptured Calcutta. Once Calcutta was back under British control, Clive began his real game. From there, he started plotting to remove Siraj-ud-Daulah from power. The stage was now set for betrayal, for conspiracy, and the battle that would change India forever. Historian B.K. Gupta describes a crucial meeting in his book Siraj-ud-Daulah and the East India Company 1756-1757. The meeting took place on 13th October 1756. It was held in Madras. The discussion happened inside the Council of Fort St. George. One decision was very clear. The British wanted to remove Siraj. They planned to find someone in Bengal who was unhappy with the Nawab and could be placed on the throne. Now remember what we discussed earlier. Mir Jafar was deeply angered. So was the Diwan Rai-Durlab. Both were upset by the rise of Diwan Mohanlal and Mir Mardan. Siraj had also alienated Jagat Seth. The British saw this as an opportunity. They quietly brought all these men to their side. A British official, Luke Scrafton, wrote on 9th April 1757, how glorious it would be for the company to have a Nawab devoted to them. Soon after, Robert Clive took the final step. He wrote a letter to Mir Jafar. In it, Clive promised full British support. In return, Mir Jafar would be made the Nawab of Bengal. The conspiracy was now complete. Siraj-ud-Daulah was unaware of the conspiracy against him. He was confident of victory. He marched to Plassey with a massive force, around 50,000 soldiers, more than 10 war elephants, and nearly 40 cannons. On 23rd June 1757, Robert Clive reached the same field of Plassey with barely 3,000 soldiers. On paper, the result seemed obvious. But Siraj's army had a fatal weakness. Most of it was filled with traitors. Only two men remained truly loyal, Diwan Mohanlal and Mir Mardan. When the battle began, nearly two-thirds of Siraj's army did not move at all. The fighting started around 8 am, and the outcome could have been very different because the British faced a real resistance from only two forces, Mir Mardan's artillery and Diwan Mohanlal's strategy. Both men fought with absolute determination. Their only goal was to protect their Nawab. Robert Clive believed he had already won half the battle. He had secured the support of Mir Jafar and Rai-Durlab, but Clive made one critical mistake. He underestimated Mir Mardan and he ignored Mohanlal's battlefield planning. Mir Mardan's cannons inflicted heavy losses on the British. Mohanlal's strategy pushed them back. For a brief moment, Clive even considered retreat. The battle was turning in Siraj's favor. But then, something unexpected happened, and in that moment, the fate of Siraj-ud-Daulah changed forever. The battle continued fiercely around 3 pm. Then, disaster struck. A cannonball hit Mir Mardan. The explosion was devastating. Mir Mardan had no chance to escape. He was killed on the spot. With his fall, the balance of the battle changed. The Nawab was pushed onto the defensive. The strongest pillar of his army was gone, and as you might expect, Mir Jafar did not waste this moment. He saw his opportunity, and he moved. Mir Jafar advised Siraj-ud-Daulah to stop the fighting. He suggested a pause for one day. He told the Nawab that the army needed time to regroup. He promised the battle could be resumed the next morning, but this advice was actually a trap. At the same time, Mir Jafar secretly passed the entire plan to Robert Clive. The result was disastrous. Siraj's army was chased down. It was completely defeated. The British forces then marched towards Murshidabad. On 2nd July 1757, Siraj-ud-Daulah was captured. He was brutally executed on the orders of Mir Jafar's son, Miran. Soon after, Mir Jafar was declared the Nawab of Bengal. But real power did not rest with him. It passed into the British hands. This moment marked a decisive turning point, not just for Bengal, but for the entire Indian subcontinent. History had changed course. After the battle, Mir Mardan was buried near the battlefield of Plassey. His grave lies in Faridpur, in present-day Murshidabad. After Siraj's death, Diwan Mohanlal was forced to flee. He escaped along with his younger son towards Juranpur Kalipit, a place that today lies in Nadia. But tragedy followed him. During the escape, Mohanlal's elder son was captured and killed on the orders of Miran, the son of Mir Jafar. Despite their brutal end, the memory of these two loyal warriors did not fade. In Bengal, their sacrifice lives on through literature and theatre. Their courage is remembered and their loyalty is honored. In 2007, a statue of Siraj-ud-Daulah was installed beside the Plassey Memorial. It stands as a silent reminder of a battle that changed history. Bengali playwright Sachindranath Sengupta also preserved this story through art. In 1938, he wrote a historical play titled Ami Sirajer Begum, which was staged in Kolkata later in 1960. A novel with the same name was published. It retold the story of Siraj-ud-Daulah and it honored the loyalty of Mir Mardan and Diwan Mohanlal. History remembers its traitors easily, but true courage often survives quietly, and sometimes only through memory, literature, and sacrifice. So friends, this was the story of Battle of Plassey and the other side of Battle of Plassey. If you like this video, please like and share this video to your friends. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe for more updates. Thank you.